When I was in high school, when I was in high school, I had a theater director by the name of Mr. Roger Silly, and spelled with a C. And Mr. Silly was quite possibly one of the most significantly impactful people in my life. What I learned from Mr. Roger Silly was that in order to truly get the best out of people, you had to show your genuine love and care for them. There was a time I was a senior in high school, and we're doing West Side Story, and I was playing Tony. And Tony's a tough role for anybody who's played the role, who's been in musical theater, who's done West Side Story, what have you. It's not an easy role, but played the role, and gotta say, by the time I was done, my senior year, I was feeling really good, and Mr. Silly would continue to give me notes all the way up, and notes meaning, hey, Raj, you need to do this. Hey, Raj, you need to focus on that. Hey, Raj, we're trying to do this, do that. And he'd keep doing that to me, and I just get frustrated because we're like halfway through the performance of seven-run performance, and a seven-performance run, and I'm going, Mr. Silly, I'm like, why are you giving me notes? Why are you still giving me notes? I'm about to graduate. I'm about to do this. Like, why? I mean, that was a killer performance. I don't like it was standing ovations. It was great. And he looked at me and he goes, Raj, he goes, the day I stop giving you notes is the day you know I don't care. And I mean, that really took me back. That was one of those that I had to really stop and think about. Um, I was 18, was about to go to college, and this is what he hits me with. And that's something that I have carried with me for my entire life. Not a week probably goes by that I don't think about that particular moment. That's what they call one of those core moments, right? Okay. So what made that so impactful and so important again was the care that came out of it. Um, and that's how we got the best out of all of us was by showing that care. And to me, what that ended up translating to down the line as I got into business, as I got into even as I got into theater at a certain point, and owned a theater company with a group of friends out in Princeton, Illinois. Excuse me, Princeton, Illinois, for a while, and what that translated to was servant leadership. That's what that translated to down the line, servant leadership. If you don't find a way to serve the people that you work with and spend more time with than your own family, their own families, if you can't find a way to serve them, then how can you expect to prosper? For a long time, people asked me, and then again hired me to go in and consult and redevelop teams and re-strategize and rebuild and break it down and rebuild again. And it always comes down to people. It truly does. It comes down to people. And last week we talked a little bit about how people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? And so um, that all ties back into it. Now, look, originally today I wanted to come on and I wanted to talk about building a team because I love building teams. I love building stuff. It's great. It's a passion of mine. Leadership is the ultimate passion of mine. Being able to help others thrive and be successful. So, but I did want to talk about Building teams today originally recruit, retain, and repeat. But I pushed that aside and I said, you know what? I was listening to some stuff. I was listening to Alex Ramosi this morning coming into the office, and I said, you know what? Scrap it. We're gonna do what we used to do. We're gonna rewrite it from scratch, and we're gonna go where we go. And so I want to talk about servant leadership. Um, and again, last week we talked, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, because it's very, very true. And that is emulated all the way from our children, all the way up through the people that we work with. And again, you can't say that people work for you, or that you work for somebody else. You don't work for anybody. Nobody works for you. We all have free will. We can all walk out at any given point in time. You work with people. Understand that. You work with people all the way around. So, you spend more collective time with these individuals that you work with every week. I mean, 40 hours, 50 hours for some, 60 hours for others. There were points in time where I was working 70 hours a week with the same group of people. And I mean, I'd see anybody else outside of that for maybe 2 hours a day, tops. So when you're in that type of an environment, to where you even at 40 hours a week, you're spending more waking time with the folks that you're with on the job or in your career or developing what you have. You spend more time with those people than you do with your own in waking hours with your friends and family. So you have to make sure that everybody is taken care of. When I was first promoted into management, I'll never forget it. I was at Ashford University. I'd been an enrollment advisor at Ashford University. We went through multiple name changes: enrollment advisor, whatever, admissions counselor, blah blah blah. I was an enrollment advisor for about 3 months and was promoted up into management. And in all sincerity, I wasn't ready for management. I didn't have the experience for that quite. I mean, I had managed a nightclub in New York City for a couple of years prior. I'd been an actor, a professional actor, for a little while before that. So, the majority of my management experience was in nightclubs. I know, totally random, because anybody who knows me, I'm not a nightclub. Yeah. Anyway, so flash forward, I end up being promoted into a team that it was one of the, if not the top teams in the company already. They were doing very well. And the manager had been promoted up to director, and then I filled in for her into her slot. But there was one guy on the team that should have been his. The team should have gone to Jesse. And I'll never forget sitting down, having that conversation with him immediately, saying, look, this team, this should have been yours. Let's work together and make sure that next team that comes available goes to you. And it did, and it was a military team, and he took it, and it was perfect for him, and that was God's plan. And I truly do believe that was God's plan. But I remember sitting there with Jesse, and Jesse, him and I having that conversation. Jesse, I do hope you see this, man. I still love you. Having that conversation with him, and him looking at me going, Raj, let's help you make this the best team possible here too. And we did that together, and he had my back, I had his, and that was servant leadership on both ends, because then he took that and he translated that down to and over to, he paralleled that over to his new team when he got it. We worked as a group, we worked with each other. And that first week, for the first time in my life, I had bought, and it was just, this is so stupid. It's so stupid, but at the end of the day, it meant so much to, hell, to be honest with you, it meant a lot to me. It meant a whole lot to me, and it meant a lot to them too, which is why it meant a lot to me. And I bought everybody pizza on a Friday. It was my first Friday as manager. I'd never done anything like that. I'd never had a team of 15 people that looked at me, and I was like, you know what? Thanks, guys, for just let me be here with you. Hell, for letting me be a part of what it is that you're doing. And so I did. I turned around and I ordered them pizza, and I'll tell you what. They were extremely happy, to the point where Jesse even looked over at me. They were so happy. I was beaming because they were happy, because I don't know, we just had a really good week. It was a lot of fun. We were all doing really well, and we were working together. And even Jesse looked over at me and he goes, look at you, Rod. You look like a proud papa. And you know what? It was true. It was really true. There was a moment right there when he said it, it struck me that that is a feeling that I will probably have down the line again, but with a family. And it is very true because I cared about the people that I was responsible for to the core. And when you do that, you act from a basis of servant leadership. You want to give and give and give because you know that the more you give and the more that they feel the love that you have for what they do and who they are, the harder they will work for themselves and the more they'll have your back as their leader. I remember seeing a drawing, a meme, cartoon, whatever you want to call it, where it has two different, like, up on top, it's got one person yelling at everybody in front of them. They're yelling at them, move, move, move. And, that's a manager. Do this, do that, do this, do that. And that's manager. And down below that, they've got, the one person up front. And instead, they've got the rope and they're pulling everything. And they're like, come on, we can do this. And that's a leader. And that is the difference. That signifies the difference. You've got to be able to serve your people. And if you can't serve them, then you're probably in the wrong profession. You should probably be doing something else. Part of servant leadership, and this is something that most entrepreneurs, this is something that most directors, vice president, anybody who's in a managerial, anybody who's responsible for any type of a budget, responsible for any part of a business. If you are a type A, you have a lot of problems giving up control of anything. I do. And most do, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But one of the things that we have to understand as leaders is that people thrive the most and they blossom the most when they are allowed to do what they were naturally born to do. We, as a society, and I'm going to go down this rabbit hole for just a second, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to make a note that I got to come back. Do what you're meant to do naturally. Okay, because otherwise I'll lose it. I know me. I'll lose it, and then I'll get lost, and I'll come back, and I'll go, what the hell was I going to say? Okay, so everybody needs to do what it is that they are naturally meant to do, right? That's a part of delegation of responsibilities. If we do not do what we are naturally meant to do, if we do not put trust into other people to do naturally what it is that they are meant to do, they will become diseased. And here's what I'm going to relate this to. I'm going to relate this to the human body. We have seen, and I mean, this isn't like rabbit hole news or anything. This is what it is. We see it. It's all over the place. We have watched our large food production companies completely bog down our food with unnatural product. And in so doing, we have seen an extreme rise in medical issues from children all the way up through seniors, people on their way out the door. Look, from birth to death, we no longer are in a society where things are natural. Everything has been toxified in some way, shape, or form. And what we're seeing is that the human body, because it is not able to work naturally the way that it is supposed to, there is more disease. Okay, that aside. Let's take this and let's look at this from a perspective of a team. Okay. And let's look at this from the perspective of bringing people in and surrounding yourself with people that are better than you, and allowing them to do what it is that they naturally do. That's what a leader does. And then they turn around and they continue to feed that individual so that they can grow as large as they want to grow. But you would have hired that person knowing that they have the drive and the motivation and the hunger to just keep on going because that's what they want. So, we have to be disciplined enough as leaders to delegate responsibility to others. That too is a part of servant leadership. Putting that kind of trust into somebody else is inspirational. It's inspirational. It drives people to know that somebody trusts them enough to be told, hey, you go do it. I hired you. I brought you in here because I trust in you to get the job done. You go do it. That's making somebody feel good. And that's putting them in their prime and letting them know that you're there to help them whenever they need guidance, to help them on their accountability, with their accountability. Because you're going to set up goals with them, but not necessarily your goals. You're going to find out their goals and you're going to push them to their goals because their goals are going to align with what it is that you need. And if you hire anybody based upon something other than that, then you are hiring wrong. I said I wasn't going to get into recruit, retain, repeat, but it is important. So you got to hire people that align with where it is that you want to go so you can just keep feeding them and keep driving them to their greatest potential, what it is that they truly want in life, because that's their goal, and help them get there. Well, that's a win-win. And that's servant leadership. All right. So all in all, today was, I think we'll start a series. I think we're going to start a series on this. I think next week we will have another one. We'll do another power. Today's power of push, servant leadership. You got to make sure that you're pushing your people and you're pushing them the right way. So power of push, servant leadership. Next week we'll do a different one. Power of something else. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But just kind of recap real fast. Look. We have to, as business owners, as leaders, as family members, because even within your own family, you are a leader. We have to remember that if you're not giving, you can't expect to get and to grow. Giving is a part of growth. So when you ask yourself, why is it that my team isn't growing the way that I want it to? Maybe you should ask yourself how much you're investing in them. Be safe. Be blessed. We'll catch you next week.